Hi, guys. This is Sharon, and welcome back to Manifesting Responsibly. So, today I want to talk about the loss of a child specifically. So, on December 30th, my son David passed away suddenly. And it was, of course, a total shock. Now, this is my second child that have transitioned. My daughter Christina passed away in 2004, and her death was very sudden as well. She was sick with heart disease that just appeared, and within 10 days she was gone. Now, I want to start off by saying and extending my condolences to any of you that are out there that have suffered a loss of a child. There's nothing like it. The heartache is so real. Now, I want to also say over the next several months or a year, I'm going to be dedicating my time to talking about how to survive the loss of a child, okay? How to get through it, how to walk on that path, okay? Because it is so very important. Now, I want to briefly stop and say in the past years, I've had a lot of training that literally helped me get through this process. Like it is amazing how you are equipped with things in your life, and then all of a sudden you need what you've learned. Years ago, I taught emotional intelligence, and I went through crisis intervention training through various police departments, mental health first aid training, and this is all, many, many years ago. But it would help me survive the loss of my children just through my ability to manage my emotions and um, take control or maintain control over myself. Now, when the police did show up at my door, wait, let me go back to Christina. When I received the call, Christina was in the hospital. They were going to release her that day home on medication and put her on the heart transplant plant list, excuse me, when she passed away and passed away in her sleep. And I remember receiving the call, and I could hear my son in law in the background just screaming, just screaming. And I knew what had happened. So the nurse, he was just inconsolable, and you could hear that. And the nurse got on the phone and told me what happened. And I remember just falling to the floor like someone gut punched all the air out of me. I remember falling to the floor. I just could not stand upright at all, just literally. And I heard a voice say internally, "Get up and put your tough skin on. You have work to do." And I was just like, oh my goodness. But I listened and I got up. And because there was work to do, there were people to call, there were arrangements to make to get her body back to Atlanta. She had gotten married, and she and my son-in-law relocated to Phoenix, Arizona. They had a son, my grandson Patrick, whom at the time was 3 months old, right? So there was a lot to deal with. Needless to say, we planned and scheduled her funeral, and it was placed in my heart to relocate to Arizona. I did not want my grandson to grow up without any element of his mother. Now, when I relocated here, I did not single handedly raise him. He primarily lived with his paternal grandmother and my son in law. And I would have him on weekends, holidays, summers, things like that. And we were able to establish a very close bond. And I knew that that was important for us to have because as he got older, he would want to need me to lean on, to ask the tough questions, to feel closer to his mother when he needed and missed her, right? And so I had to be on the scene for that. And it turns out that that was exactly the thing to do. And I came here and I met my husband. My first husband and I had three children, three lovely children. And we got divorced in the late 80s. And anyway, I moved here and I met my husband, and we've currently now been married almost 20 years. And he is a beautiful man. He is a beautiful man. And I'm saying this because so many wonderful things have happened since I relocated to Phoenix, Arizona. I love my daughter. I will always love my daughter. And I miss my daughter, and I wonder, often what she would be like at this stage in her life. She would be 40 years old, now getting ready to turn 41 this summer. But I also must appreciate all of the blessings that have occurred after the fact as well. So, what I'm saying in essence is you can't, you know, you have to take your whole life. You have to appreciate your whole life. So now I never felt angry with God or anyone over the loss of my daughter. I never felt cheated. I never felt that it was unfair. The only thing that I felt is that if she left, it's because it needed to be that way, because that's how the universe operates. And I do understand that, and I do believe that wholeheartedly. I put my heart on the table here and say to you, never once have I felt cheated, angry, upset, angry over the loss of my daughter in that way, as if someone did something to me deliberately. Of course, I felt upset and grieved over the loss of my daughter, but not because I felt cheated or angry. Now, I want to fast forward to the loss of my son, David, again. And it was sudden. He was found in his room, deceased. When the police came to my door, they and told me what happened, once again, I felt like the air was punched out of me, literally. And I invited them in, the two detectives that came to my home, and I just said, I have to lie down, and there's a sofa right by the front door. And I was talking to them from the lying position on my sofa because I had no strength to stay up, to stand up, right? They basically told me that there was no signs of foul play. Not basically, they told me there were no signs of foul play, no injury to his body, no drug paraphernalia. And when that happens, they request an autopsy, which they did last Friday. I was told that it would take 2 or several weeks, a minimum 2 weeks to several weeks to get the report back on the probable cause of death. So, over the past week, because it has been a full week, I've had many emotions. Most of them have just been heartache, and I spent several days just feeling really lightheaded. And I The first day it happened, I didn't tell anyone other than my husband and my grandson who currently lives with me. As a matter of fact, I just want to side note and say I'm so proud of the man that he is becoming. He is getting ready to move into an apartment with a friend of his, and he is currently with friends, and that's great. He has a great group of friends. So I wanted to just let you guys know that he is doing extremely well. Now, someone mentioned that I'm going back to my lightheadedness. I spent about 4 days feeling like I was in a dream state, literally. Like I was walking around, you know how you wake up and you go, oh, was that a dream? Well, I felt like that all day, every day for about 4 days. And then the last 2 days, I felt extreme heartache, heartache, deep heartache. I feel a little bit better today, which is why I'm making this video. It was just really hard to talk about. As a matter of fact, I still haven't told all of my tribes. So, and I want to explain that. So I have several different tribes of people that are not connected, meaning family, friends, associates, what have you, that are not connected. So if I tell one group, another group may not find out because they're not connected to that particular tribe. Okay, so there are still several people out there that I have not told um, about my son and what has happened, because it is so difficult to talk about that. You would just spend days and days talking to multiple people about the same thing, and that is very difficult to do and something that I don't look forward to doing. I'd like to say for the people that I've spoken with, there are people that are having a really difficult time with it. Some people who were not that close to David, but still are very close to me and feel my pain and loss. I want to say to you not to assume the emotional trauma of other people. I'm going to say that again. Not to assume. Don't assume. Don't take on. Don't put it on your body like a suit coat. Don't succumb to the expectations of what other people feel you should be doing or feeling. Everyone grieves differently. Something may happen and you may not feel like crying. It may not come to you that way. You may not even feel sad. You may feel sad. You may not know. You may just feel shock, right? But one thing you don't want to do is try to place yourself in an emotional state that someone else expects you to reside in. You know, allow yourself to feel what you feel, and you don't need to feel guilty about anything. You don't need to feel like, oh, I should be crying, or I should just be lying down, or I should be depressed, or I should be anything. Grief is a long term experience that takes time to walk through, not get over. I'm going to say this again. It takes time to walk through grief, right? And when you pop out on the other side, healing and light does occur. It does happen. So you can't ignore it. You can't try to pretend like it doesn't exist. You can't live in the expectations of other people. You have to honor what you feel, how you feel, and when you feel. And to be perfectly frank, if my body says lie down and sleep, I sleep. If my body says get up and get some work done, I do that. If my body says relax, I do that. If my body says eat a bowl of potato chips, I eat that. I do whatever my body says because my body knows what it needs at this difficult time, right? And you got to tune into that. You have to tune into that, right? And that doesn't mean you shouldn't allow others to try to take care of you and be concerned. It just means at the end of the day, don't feel guilty about anything and be kind to yourself. And I remember speaking with the medical examiner's office on the specifics of David's exam. And one of the things she said to me before she hung up was, be kind to yourself today and over the next several weeks. Just be kind to yourself. And I'm passing that on because that was the most important message for me to be able to get me to this state to even have this conversation with you. That I've been very kind to myself because it's easy as a parent to say, well, maybe if I had done this or if I had done that or maybe this or maybe that or I could have. Things are the way that they need to be. And just because it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel good, that doesn't mean it isn't good, right? Death is a very natural part of life, just like birth is. And we all know it. We get attached, We love our children. We love our parents. We love the people that we love, and we want them with us always, right? And when people are born into this earth, we celebrate the birth of a new child. And when people die, we grieve because we don't want to say goodbye. But death and birth is a part of this life that must be experienced by everyone, as far as I know. I don't know of anyone that just lives forever, right? In this body. That's what I mean. The spirit lives forever, and I 100% believe that. But this body does not. It was designed not to do that, as far as I know. Right? Your journey now is to live without that person, without your child. My journey is to live without my babies. And the thing about it is when it occurs, when the death of a child occurs or any person that you love so very much, you're on this road, you're on this path with this person, you guys are walking together, you're holding hands, you are coexisting. And all of a sudden they leave and a fork appears in the road. And you have two options. You can accept what happens and walk on the road, enter that road without them, with your brave face and knowing that you're going to have challenges, but you accept the fact that this person is no longer here in body. Or you can walk or attempt to get on the path with the person that has just transitioned. And that's why sometimes you'll meet people who have lost people, and for them, it's just like it happened yesterday because they won't accept it. They won't accept what happened. It's not that they can't, it's that they won't. Because they want to live with that person, whether they are here physically or not. And so they get on that road, and that's where it is extremely difficult for them to build a life and to heal because they are trying to build a life with that person, and that person is no longer here. You cannot build anything with something that you don't have, right? So it's really important that right at that moment, you figure out a way to accept what has happened early on, right? The other thing I found that was really helpful for me was not completely stopping. I do honor my feelings and I acknowledge whatever my heart is feeling, whatever I am going through, but I don't stop, meaning I don't allow my body to just lie there or I'm just not going to do anything at all and to immerse myself in sadness and grief. I think, and I can't say this for everyone, but for myself, it has been very helpful to bring levity, to find things that make you laugh and continue to laugh. And I know it's a difficult time, and you're like, well, how can you laugh? Your child just passed away. You must bring levity to the table, right? You cannot, and it's not healthy for you to be completely absorbed in sadness, right? So if you have a particular movie that's funny or a video that makes you laugh every once in a while, you don't have to sit through an hour comedy show of laughing, but every once in a while you need to have some relief from the sadness because it is so dark and it is so heavy. And there is just a lot to get done overall. And it's just not healthy for your body. It just creates a very stressful environment. Okay. So that's one tip that I stand by, to just stay busy. I mean, you don't have to be occupied 24/7, but just this is a great time to, you know, cook your favorite meal. I went yesterday, my nail salon. There's a lady that I go to that she does amazing pedicures, and you get an hour, period. She gives you 1 hour, and she gives you the best foot rubs and reflexology. I'm saying that because I'm telling you about this because be kind to yourself. Do things for yourself that's going to be soothing, right? Soothing to your body, soothing to your soul. When she gets a hold of my feet, man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, it is so relaxing. I put my phone down and I just lay back and I close my eyes and I let her do what she does. And that's what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I went and I had one of my favorite meals. My husband was at work. I sat by myself. I had one of my favorite meals. I went into a store that I like to go into and just kind of look around, secondhand store. And then I had a 5 o'clock appointment for a pedicure, and I went. And then I came home and I put my warm, cozy jammies on, and I just laid on the sofa the rest of the evening. And I made myself a cup of chamomile tea. This is about doing things that feel oh so good, that's soothing, right? You don't need to do hula hoops or take a long vacation unless if that's what you want to do, then fine. Whatever is soothing to you. You want to start doing that right away, even if when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel like it, even when you just want to lie there, figure out something you can do that soothes the body and the soul. So I'm going to stop there and I'll be back with more conversation on what the next steps are, how to walk through grief, how to manifest peace, right? And I do feel peaceful inside. Peace and grief are two separate emotions that you can experience at the same time. I am at peace with what the universe decided for my son, for my life. Of course, I feel sad. Of course, I have a heartache because that's my baby, right? That's my baby. But I do know that I will get through all of this, through everything, right? I will pop out on the other side, just as I did with my daughter. And there is one final thing that I want to say that I started doing about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. And I've always hugged my children, but I established this 17-second rule on hugs. So my son would come over and visit, and he'd be like, "Mom, I'm getting ready to leave," and I'd go, "Wait, wait, 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 wait! I got to get my hug," and I'd hold him for a minimum of 17 seconds because 17 seconds the nervous system resets. So it was a way to reset together to create a stronger bond. but also for him to fall into my love, right? To embrace him. And it's always interesting because the first 10 seconds he would be like, okay, mom, the hug. And then after that, you would see his body relax, or I would feel his body relax into my arms. And I'd always do a countdown in my head, right? The 17, 16, 15, 14, and so forth. And then I'd take a deep, long breath from the chest and give him a big squeeze and a kiss on the cheek. And that's how we always ended his visits, right? If I saw him leaving, if he said, "Okay, mom, I'm gone," that's how we ended our visits every single time. And it was a beautiful thing, right? And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. But again, I will be back um, with more content on surviving the loss of a child. And again, I send my deepest condolences to any of you out there that are experiencing grief, be it the loss of a child or a parent or a spouse or a loved one. If you want to comment, please do. And if you have a question, I'll answer if I can. And even if I can't answer your question, I will say I don't know. But I appreciate you watching my video and listening to my story of loss. I want all of you to have a beautiful day. Happy 2026. And if you're just now watching this video, my son David passed away on December 30th, 2025. Have a good day. Bye.